The San Antonio Spurs won 5 NBA championships between 1999 and 2014.
Inbound, Ward looking, gets it ahead for Sprewell. Sprewell underneath the glass, double team, fires at the buzzer, no! The San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
And the final seconds set to tick off. San Antonio is back on top once again. The Spurs are the 2014 NBA champions.
They did it with the most financially efficient roster construction in the history of professional sports. And they did it in a city the rest of the league wasn't watching closely enough to notice. In 1999, the San Antonio Spurs selected Tony Parker with the 28th pick in the NBA draft. He was 18 years old. He was French. He had never played a single minute of American basketball.
With the 28th pick in the 2001 draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Tony Parker of Racing Club Paris, France.
Well, Tony, obviously San Antonio knows a lot about you. You were the MVP of the 2000 European Championships. Charles Barkley says you must be good. He doesn't know a whole lot about you. Tell us about your game.
Maybe, I don't know. I just said I'm very happy to play for San Antonio Spurs. I think it's a good team for me.
In 2001, they selected Manu Ginobili with the 57th pick, the second to the last pick in the entire draft. A player so far down the board that 30 other franchises had passed on him twice.
San Antonio Spurs select Manu Ginobili from Argentina.
He plays for Reggio Calabria in Italy, 6'6", a two-guard. He is a native of Argentina.
And this kid understands coming off of a screen. He understands moving off the ball to get his shot.
Here's where the financial architecture becomes visible, and the NBA rookie contracts are set by the CBA draft scale, a fixed schedule that determines what every player earns based on where they were picked.
Reported that negotiations have started toward a new CBA. What exactly is at stake this year? Can you just explain that first?
Yeah, the NBA, the Players Association, they to start talking about that. Now, there's always conversations going on between the union and the league, talks that set up the bigger talk.
The 28th pick earns a specific number. The 57th pick earns a specific number. The player has no leverage. The team has no obligation to pay above scale until the contract expires. Parker's first extension, signed in 2003 after 2 championship seasons, was $51 million over 6 years, $8.5 million per year, for the starting point guard of a dynasty.
Pass the ball to a lot of players, but probably not two as good as David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Enjoy it.
I will pass the ball to Duncan Robinson, no problem.
That might be the most remarkable thing about Tony. I mean, you can see his talent and his speed, and he finished at the rim and worked hard, but his maturity level was off the charts. He knew how to handle himself off the court. He was able to handle criticism, because I was very tough on him.
Ginobili's first extension, signed in 2005 after 3 championship seasons, was $52 million over 6 years. The 57th pick in the 2001 draft, by then a finals champion and an Olympic gold medalist, signed for $8.5 million per year.
I was playing with the national team. I wake up one morning and I'm told that I got selected by the NBA champs. So it was quite a surprise.
The Argentine player, Manu. Look at this, Ginobili.
Led the Argentinian national basketball team at the World Basketball Championships to beat the USA.
San Antonio is the smallest market in the NBA. It has been the smallest or second smallest market in the league for the entire duration of the Spurs dynasty. Population 1.4 million, no Fortune 500 headquarters, limited national media presence. The franchise generates less local revenue than any other championship organization in American professional sports history. The small market did 3 things for Spurs ownership simultaneously. It suppressed local revenue expectations, which justified payroll restraint to the players. It kept national media scrutiny low, which meant nobody was running the contract math in real time. And it gave ownership a legitimate narrative for arena subsidy negotiations. We can't compete without public support, that larger market teams could never use as convincingly. In 2002, the AT&T Center opened in San Antonio. The public funding component of that arena was $147 million, approved by Bexar County voters on the argument that losing the Spurs would devastate the local economy.
For years, the AT&T Center has been the home of our San Antonio Spurs.
From several NBA championships to rodeos and concerts, the home of the Spurs has hosted hundreds of big events over 2 decades under the name AT&T Center.
The Spurs had won their second championship 2 years earlier. The franchise was not going anywhere. The threat was the negotiating instrument. The franchise that was paying Parker and Ginobili below market value for their championship production was simultaneously extracting above-market public subsidy for its arena. The players absorbed the financial document, the public absorbed the arena cost. The ownership kept the asset appreciation.
If I go into the middle, I'm not going right in the shot all the time. I might do it right back to you.
Puts it on the floor, lays it off to Ginobili.
It's a Manu Trace! Manu Ginobili with a huge basket.
Go Spurs. With tough defense. And Tim Duncan answering a lot of questions.
There is one more layer to this document. Parker and Ginobili did not just enter the league as late picks. They entered as international players. And the CBA mechanism governing international players created an additional suppression layer that American players never faced. Parker was paying for Paris basket racing in France when San Antonio drafted him.
Nike Boom Summit as Parker hangs in the air. All of a sudden, Tony Parker's showing us something.
He's made a couple really solid moves.
6'2" guard from Belgium, whose father played in Chicago, Illinois. They moved to France, and that's where Tony grew up. Parker. Beautiful job. Oh, nice spin move.
Great spin.
Beautiful.
Because he was able to get it up high off the glass.
Tony Parker.
Ginobili was playing for Kinder Bologna in Italy.
Per andare al tiro, 2 secondi, Ginobili allo scadere dei 24.
Both players had existing contractual obligations that complicated their transition to the NBA and limited their ability to leverage competing offers in the way a domestic player could. The Spurs drafted players whose negotiating position was structurally weaker than the players around them. Then they paid them accordingly. What happened next is the part the contract doesn't show. Parker and Ginobili won 4 championships. They won a Finals MVP and an Olympic gold medal.
Can you talk about the significance of being the first European to win the MVP title?
Oh, it's great. It's just unbelievable. I'm speechless. When I look at that trophy, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's still going to be a dream. And European basketball is improving every year. You got Dirk Nowitzki won the MVP for the first time, and now MVP finals. So it's just great, and there's going to be a lot more. I'm happy to be the first one. I'm on the list now.
Some amazing times, unbelievable ones, some other tough ones, but most of them with the same core group of guys, good friends, representing a lot of people that I love. My family, and it's very hard.
They proved on the largest stage in professional basketball that international players could be the best players on the best team in the world. Every front office was watching. The scouting infrastructure that followed, the international academies, the global draft networks, the late-round picks on overseas players traces directly to what San Antonio demonstrated was possible between 1999 and 2014. Greg Popovich coached this roster for the entirety of the dynasty. He received 5.4 cents on every dollar of franchise value created during his tenure, documented in a previous BTV video.
Well, Coach Pop, it was always like a up and down, love-hate, because he was so demanding and pushed me very hard. At the end of the day, for me, I wanted to win, and I know it was coming from a place that he was very competitive, and he really wanted to win too.
Pop pushes those buttons, right? And he sees the reaction. He's constantly studying, and he knows which buttons to push.
Parker and Ginobili received 8.5 cents combined. The players were paid more than the coach. Both were paid fractions of what they produced. Every cent of the gap went to the same place. The players who built the dynasty received their contracts. The coach who designed it received his salary. The ownership group that drafted a 28th pick and a 57th pick and paid them below market value for 16 championship years received the asset, $3.1 billion, 15 times what the franchise was worth when Parker arrived.